Hey everybody, welcome to the All Juvecast channel, and today's podcast is going to be focused on the Azzurri. And they opened up Euro 2020 with a solid victory against the Turks, 3-0. And I got Eric, Omar, and Antonio joining me today to cover it. How you guys doing?
All good, all good.
No good.
Hell yeah, we got to be good after that one, man. First half, everybody's kind of like just waiting, but we were in total control. We'll cover the match and everything. But yeah, this was nice to see the opener in Rome, get the opening ceremonies. And man, the ceremonies, those drummers were insane. Now, could you imagine being hoisted up that high playing that goddamn drum? I was watching those guys like, you couldn't pay me enough money to be hanging from the rafters, trying to focus on. One guy actually looked petrified. Like I thought he was gonna be left there like just hanging lifeless because he was gonna pass out. But unreal. Bocelli, man, that guy, just fantastic. An OG. G'd up from the feet up. People criticizing the song choice. I don't know if they were expecting Thunderstruck. They said they weren't pumped up enough by that song. Whatever. But yeah, I was pumped. I was jacked up to watch this thing. I had to kind of have it on in the background at work, but then I got home and I settled in with a nice cold one and enjoyed a beer, watched it start to finish. Beautiful match, guys. The lineup: Donnarumma, Florenzi, Bonucci, Chiellini, Spinazzola, Barella, Jorginho, Locatelli, with Berardi, Immobile, Insigne up top. I had zero issues with that lineup. A lot of, obviously, Juventini wanting Chiesa up top, but I was saying in the pre-match with Omar, we were saying it just hasn't really necessarily translated too much for Chiesa, what he's doing at Juve to the national side, and I was fine with Berardi. I had no problems with our lineup. Guys, how'd you feel about the lineups? Eric, kick us off.
I didn't have an issue. As your pre-match happened, the only thing that I think I would have switched was just my back line. I think with the length of this tournament, I would prefer probably to try to keep either Bonucci or Chiellini as healthy as possible, which is why I would probably pair one of them with a Bastoni. That was kind of the reason behind it. But outside of that, I really didn't have an issue with choosing Berardi over Chiesa. I think we're all in agreement that as statistically great Chiesa played, Domenico actually played better this season, and he's actually really proved it with the national side. So I really had no issues whatsoever in terms of personnel.
Absolutely. Antonio?
Yeah, much the same as Eric. Obviously, I'm biased to my boy Chiesa, but I think Berardi works for what Mancini's tried to achieve. It keeps the pitch nice and wide, as I say. So yeah, no problem at all with formation.
No issues there. And Omar, we got heavily into that projected lineup. It came out exactly what we thought. We were okay with it as well. So we get into this match, and again, labeled in the pre-match, the Turks against the top sides, like they'll open up more and they'll put on a full press, very, very aggressive press on sides where they feel comfortable with. But against tougher opposition, they seem to lock it down at the back and look for their countering opportunities and whatnot. And I fully expected that. So yeah, right out of the gate, Italy establishes control in possession and whatnot, and we're just waiting for them to try and figure out how they were gonna break down the Turks. And early on you could see what they were going to try to work through, and they basically formed almost three at the back, keeping Florenzi back and pushing Spinazzola up top. That created freedom for Insigne and whatnot, and man, it was working, but not a whole lot of chances, but still some ones that some of these guys would want back. Insigne in the 17th minute probably would want that one back, but he just goes wide there. 20th minute, Ciro, good run after winning the ball about 35 yards out. Shouts for handball by Ciro, but there's nothing there on that particular one, in my opinion. 32nd minute, Ciro gets another header, just wide. He was going on his back foot, not a lot there. And again, we're controlling play, we're dominating. I feel absolutely fine. Insigne gets a good opportunity, 36th minute, puts it way too close to the keeper. And then we finish off halftime with what's got to be an easy decision.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's frustrating to not get the PK on that one. And we finish half 0-0. And I see a lot of frustrated tweets when I'm going on there and just saying it had to be much better from Italy and whatnot. But honestly, like, I didn't see any problems with what they were doing. And they were, like, I had full confidence we were going to find a goal. Let's put it that way. And I wasn't threatened by Turkey in any way. So what were you guys' feelings at half? And obviously, I think we're all in agreement. That's a PK.
Yeah.
Well, without a shadow of a doubt. So, Omar, your thoughts at halftime on this match?
Well, first of all, we failed to mention that the best opportunity came from Chiellini out of everyone from the corner. He forced a pretty amazing save.
That's
it would have been funny if you should have betted on who'd score the first goal in the Euros, Chiellini. It was not the one. So I was kind of hoping it would go in. The handball was, I think it should have been a penalty, but from what I read, UEFA has told the referees to, play down the penalty calls because back in the World Cup, there were too many penalties, like for everything, and the VAR was new to the world. So they would have called it a penalty in Italy, but they don't want it to decide games. There was an occasion in the last game between Switzerland and Wales. So, I felt pretty confident. Turkey didn't have any sniff at goal. And Italy were just, they were knocking on the door, and Turkey closed down with 8 men inside the box. So it was going to be a tough wall to crack. But we finally did it, and we needed that goal to make Turkey, play and go forward, because they were fine with the draw against the better team in this group. So I was feeling pretty confident. Italy looked great. They controlled the match in every part of the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Antonio, your thoughts?
I was very, very satisfied, but Turkey, I expected that style of play from Turkey. I watched the game against France, who they were very impressive. Physically, they're very good physically, and they're also well positioned on the pitch. They defend with a low block, so I kind of expected Turkey to play that way. But the tempo we were playing at, it was just a matter of time before we got the first goal and won the game, as I say. But in the first half, I was incredibly impressed by the way they maintained the rhythm and the tempo. Something I've never seen an Italian side do for forever, to be honest with you. Usually we're the team like Turkey, sitting back and hoping to hit a team on the counter-attack. So I was impressed, and I was relatively relaxed at half-time.
Yeah, I was relaxed too. Eric, I don't think any of us were nervous, but you see so much on social media where everybody was really fired up with his performance. With Eric, halftime, and your feelings?
I wasn't nervous, but I have a little bit different take than I guess Omer and Antonio, was that I was just frustrated. I was frustrated in the imbalance in our attack. I was frustrated with our spacing because I felt like even though we were controlling everything, which was fantastic, I was still trying to figure out how we were going to get the goal. We were missing a presence in the middle of the pitch. Because of the low block, we just didn't have that creativity really penetrating through the middle. And the last thing I wanted is having that 65% possession, having bodies forward and being susceptible to a counter. So I knew that scoring a goal was pretty imperative for me. I wasn't overly impressed with how our midfield played yesterday, given the run and the stretch that we've been on. So I have a little bit different take on that. And then depending on actually which source you watched the match through, Taylor Twellman and John Champion made a comment about referees not wanting to set a precedence for the rest of the tournament in terms of their calls. But in the same breath, you have to look at it the other way. They don't want to start making calls in the first match and declaring this is what it is. This is how we're going to ref, from here on out. But the problem was when you blatantly don't call a handball, you still set the same precedence just on the other, other end of the spectrum. So I was pretty upset with them avoiding that to prove a point, even though it was handball by definition.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, but that's kind of the way we need to go, because there are too many penalties of handballs that are nowhere near a goal, like a cross from the edge of the area, and you don't know where it's going to go, and suddenly you get a penalty, which is an almost 100% scoring chance. So it is a handball inside the area. Like you said, setting the precedent for this kind of opportunities, being a penalties or not being a penalties, is tricky. And
but you had two prime examples of what is a handball and what isn't a handball in that first half. So you had two very clear different examples there to prove, okay, we don't call this one, but the hand was more than away from the body. And that's what it should have been called. It should have been.
I also think you can't reward a team for sitting back, and now they're getting extra advantages by blatant plays like that not getting called. Open up and play the game, right? So if a team's like dominating, now all of a sudden they're getting in the area, whatnot, and something as blatant as that is let slide, it's like, holy geez, like. It's already tough enough because they've got everybody behind the ball, and now all of a sudden, things like that aren't called. Regardless, if they're trying to, slow down the amount of penalties and stuff like that, even that, to say that in its own is ridiculous, because you have a set of rules. If somebody breaks them and it's a penalty, it's a penalty. Whether you have 17 in one match or none, you have to follow the rules.
And that's the problem. The handball rule is not a clear rule. I can tell what exactly is a handball and what isn't. And there are some calls that you would call outside the area, but you wouldn't call inside the area. And UEFA should have just told all the teams, this is a handball. It's like they only told the referees, apparently. The players have no idea what is a handball and what isn't.
And that's why I have a really big problem with this whole thing, and then trying to say they're all of a sudden they want to keep the count down for this tournament. Like, if you call it one way in your leagues, you call it the same right across the board. Make this a FIFA thing. So, yeah, it's a frustrating scenario. But I kind of agreed a little bit with Eric, because one of the things I was thinking at half in terms of our play and whatnot was Spinazzola was pushing so high, and he was basically neutralizing one of those defenders and allowing Insigne. We saw a couple good give and goes with Insigne Immobile, and basically Spinazzola was so deep that he was basically keeping a defender with him at all times, and it opened up lanes for Insigne. And I was frustrated that they didn't go to that more. And there was kind of this like lull where they stopped kind of going to that side. And it was a side that we were working heavily and taking advantage early on in the match, and they kind of went away from it. So I thought that was going to be their best opportunity to break the Turks, was to continue to just take what they're giving you, which is the outsides, because trying to go through the middle, the Turks just had that flooded. Like, there was no space in there. Barella even trying to get in there is not. I knew they were going to hold Jorginho and Locatelli back to kind of slow down and shut down any counters and just intercept plays by the Turks. But I thought they should have went that way a little more towards Spinazzola and Insigne's side. So that was really my only frustration out of the first half, but still happy and not threatened by the Turks. We get to the second half, and so who called the opener being a Demiral own goal? Because that's what we get. Cue the sell him by the Juventini, cue the sell him tweets and all that. Honestly, that's one of those nightmare balls if you're playing the game. Yeah. One of those ones at that awkward level, and it's put in there at quick pace. Like, you could tell he was caught between two minds. And he's like, at the end, it was way too late. You could see what he was trying to do, but he got it all wrong, and it goes in. I kind of felt bad for him. And I knew he was going to get destroyed on social media as he did. But, hey, for the Azzurri, I'll take it however the hell it comes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, sorry, Mary, but really not sorry. 1-0 for the Azzurri. And you could see what it meant to the guys. Big celebration. And then from there, really turned up the gears. And Immobile off a Spinazzola rebound, Potts home in the 65th, making it 2-0. And then we start to see some subs. Cristante in for Locatelli in the 74th. 79th minute, Berardi intercepts a pass, a really poor pass from the keep there. And three passes, and we find Insigne with his trademark curler far post, 3-0. Then we get a few more substitutions and see it out. In the 91st minute, it wouldn't be a match where Chiellini's featured in until you see a classic defensive celebration, and he makes a great sliding tackle to save a great scoring attempt for Turks, and we finish 3-0. Beautiful, boys. Beautiful, beautiful match. Second half, we're really turning it on, and we get a lot of good things. Let's kick it off with man of the match. Spinazzola named man of the match. Eric, was he your man of the match?
No, he was up there. I don't know if he did enough for me to give him that. I thought he did great work in the flank, but I also thought that there were just a lot of it was empty in terms of like there wasn't a lot on the end of what he was providing. So he would get down there, and it's like, okay, great. So we got down to the final third, and then nothing really came about it. It seemed like the possessions ended up empty. I really appreciated what Berardi did. I thought he provided a lot. Spina was a top 3 player for me. I would probably say Chiellini, to be honest with you. I thought he did fantastic with him pushing the ball forward. He neutralized the attack from the Turks. I thought he just had a monstrous game for us.
There you go. Antonio, was Spinazzola your man of the match?
To be honest with you, the guys were. It was hard to pick a man of the match last night. I thought the application from the start was spot on. I might sound like a broken record because I speak about application every single time I'm on a podcast, but it is so important, and you see last night why it is important. For me, I had Jorginho up there. I thought he controlled the midfield, he controlled the tempo. He's been fantastic for Chelsea this season, and it's only going to benefit us going forward. So I had Jorginho as my man of the match.
There you go. So we got Chiellini, we got a Jorginho, and Omar. Who was your man of the match for the Azzurri?
I'll go with Barella. Barella was everywhere, was involved in at least 2 of the 3 goals. He controlled the midfield along with Jorginho. Every pass that came to him, he took it to the right way and kind of navigated the play in a good way. He knew where to navigate the play, to the left or to the right, and that's what opened up spaces. Very energetic all over the final third. So I might give it to him.
Yeah, there you go. And Mars Zeta coming in with Jorginho. Very, very good yesterday. I had a tough time actually naming one name, to be honest. I didn't think I would go with Spinazzola personally as the man of the match. I think Barella in the second half was insane.
Yeah.
Second half out of Barella was crazy. Jorginho was steady. I actually really liked Immobile's play in that one. I thought he was really, really good, and we need that. So he's in there for me too, and absolutely Chiellini. And it's funny that everybody talks about Bonucci and the ball playing ability you get from the back, but man, Chiellini was the one yesterday pressing the play forward, making those passes up to our forwards, sometimes to our mids and whatnot. It's funny that everybody talks about Bonucci in that sense, but Bonucci was playing it off to Chiellini, and he was the one kind of urging the team on and pushing the play forward. Did you guys happen to catch that too?
Yeah. I think the reason for that, I think Chiellini when he gets going, he's pretty. I mean, he's a steamroller. So I think he's a bit more pacier than Bonucci as well. So I was interested to see Chiellini going forward, because he's actually improved a hell of a lot over the years going forward. But just going back to the man of the match thing, it's nice and refreshing that we're sitting here after a game and we could potentially pick a man of the match out of 5 or 6 players. I mean, that just shows you the nature of the performance last night and how positive it was.
Yeah, absolutely. So very, very good problem to have, but very, very happy for the couple of guys getting goals that we needed to, and that was Immobile and Insigne. Insigne is going to be a key to making the final third tick, and Immobile, we just need one of those nines to catch fire. You know, and take the reins at that spot. So him getting a goal and an assist in this one, love it. In the next one, do you go with Chiro again? Do you go with Belotti? Real quick, just a yes or no on that one. Stay with the Mobile or get Belotti in there on next one. Eric. Oh, Eric's gone. We lost him. Antonio.
Yeah, change it up. Keep the tempo high and keep everybody happy. Yeah, Belotti for me.
Okay, Omar.
No, Immobile.
Keep him going to try and get him.
Yeah, get that win, and then you can play the third game with all of your subs, and get an extra rest for the rest of the guys for the quarterfinals.
It's really, really a tough decision. Yep. It's a tough decision. It's a tough decision to make because I see both points, and I don't think there is a wrong. Like you've got Chiro that just got a goal and assist. You can keep him going, trying to get that momentum, or you go with Belotti just to kind of get some rest. And like I see it both ways. I think I tend to lean to try and get in them to get some more momentum. Eric, now that you're back with us, Chiro, would you start him next one to try and keep the momentum going, or would you go Belotti?
No, I'd go Belotti. And this, I mean, I have a personal reason for that. And it's not a matter of, I want to keep the hot hand going. I do. This is a long tournament. We have a lot of depth. So I also feel like it's very important to keep everybody fresh. And this allows another opportunity for other guys to come in and for them to get in form. I would fully expect, I don't know if we're getting into this conversation, I fully expect Mancini to heavily rotate the squad, keep everybody fresh.
I agree.
To get as much rest as you possibly can as well.
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. Also, with we know the result, Wales and Swiss being a draw today, 1-1, and I mean, you get that next victory, and it's pretty good. So maybe you don't go with what's broken, but I expect a rotation. I think up top in that particular position, the 9 position, because we haven't had either guys really take the reins. I probably want to see Immobile start just to keep that rolling. But I agree with the rotation and everything, and just keeping things going and keeping guys involved, right? Belotti, I think probably I would, if it were me personally, bring him in maybe like 60th or something in the next one, right? Depending how it goes. But we'll see. Anthony Skanga just joining us saying, better late than never. Good morning, you beautiful people. Another happy Azzurri fan. And I got to give a big shout out to Anthony because he was keeping me informed while I was at work with tweets. And it doesn't go unnoticed, man. Much, much appreciated. Now, let's get to Locatelli. Locatelli was like I saw a lot of tweets about him and of course, with the rumors linking him to Juventus, a lot of fans just going down on his particular game. When I watched him play yesterday, it was exactly what I expected, to be honest. He's a defensive midfielder. He was there with Jorginho to lock things up. They gave Barella the freedom to push forward. He got the ball. He was strong on possession, and he moved it quickly and to one of the options that were available. I don't need anything more from him. And I was happy with his performance. I don't know, like in this particular setup, there's nothing more required of him. And I thought he did just fine. Antonio, your thoughts on Locatelli's performance?
Well, naturally, your eyes are on him because of all the rumours surrounding him with Juventus. So I was watching him as much as I could possibly last night. I must admit, the first 20, 25 minutes, I thought he could have done a bit more. But maybe that was me just expecting a bit more, because when you look at his play this season, as you rightfully said, that's basically the way he plays. I think he could have done a bit more, but maybe I'm being a bit overcritical. But overall, he grew into the game,
Yeah. Omar, your thoughts on Loca?
I think people expect him because of the, all the hyping and move to Juve, expect him to be prime Zidane right out of the gate, and it's just not realistic. He had a good game. is a bit out of possession because in Sassuolo he plays a bit differently. The formation was pretty much a 4-2-3-1 with Jorginho and him in the back, and Barella was like a CAM almost. But he did have a good game. He needed those minutes, and we might have to rely on him. Verratti is not a lock because of the injuries. So I don't know where the criticism come from. I don't know what people expect. People who expected something more probably haven't watched him play that much, because he played the same way he plays at Sassuolo. He doesn't get into the box. He's not that type of midfielder. So it was pretty good job. Obviously, we won. We didn't concede, so we did his job.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Good showing.
Eric, Locatelli's performance.
I wasn't impressed. Once again, I'll disagree with you guys. I expected much more, but I thought that was a byproduct of the fact that I think him and Jorginho were trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So because they were trying to do the same, play the same role, play the same position, the spacing caused a little bit of an issue. And then Barella seemed to kind of wander a little too far off into the flank on the right side. So it was really Manuel and Jorginho kind of more centrally, more to the left. I thought he could have been the guy to actually press the ball through the center of the pitch, but he was pretty stuck on that left side towards the back as well. Once Spinazzola made his runs forward, Locatelli decided, he was the one to kind of cover on the back for him. But I didn't like some of the errant passing that we saw throughout the match. I get it. It's going to be cagey. You're going to have nerves. I just didn't quite see what I needed to see from him for all this, the hype that does surround him. You don't expect him to kind of play the way that he did. So I was a little not happy with his performance specifically. But once again, I'll go back and I'll say that I thought our entire midfield had, especially in the first half, was pretty under par to begin with.
Yeah, I think, again, it's a product of a couple things, though, like we touched on, and you did too. Spinazzola being the one really, really pressing up there that it seemed Mancini wanted to create for Insigne. And then also the Turks, again, gave us the outside. They took anything centrally away, so it was really hard. But even when Verratti's in there, Verratti stays very, very tight to Jorginho, and he gradually closes into the area. The only thing with Loca, he didn't gradually get in there until much later in the game. And I think another thing too is, starting, it's the first game, major tourney, the guys are it's in Rome. I think there's a lot of factors in play. I think Locatelli will grow, but it depends on what Mancini's asking too. Because it looked to me like he just wanted Jorginho and Locatelli to stay home, So again, I think it's might be a little harsh on Loca, but there was definitely instances where I wanted him to pop the ball over quickly, to switch sides and stuff like that, and he was taking the easy ones around to the defenders. And again, I think it's just a major tourney, playing things safe. He did have one nice diagonal and whatnot, but yeah, overall, I could see some frustrations, like Eric's saying and whatnot. But overall, I think he did the job he was asked to do. But now let's get to just the team in general. Bonucci coming out with some words, just kind of putting other clubs on notice and whatnot, and giving a bit of a warning shout there. The team in general, I know Eric was with us live yesterday and whatnot, and he's expecting semis. Nothing less. And I think, like I said, I think this team can play with anybody, any of the nations in this tournament, even France. And honestly, I expect semis as well. And from there, anything can happen. Is it too much hype around the team, or is that realistic, Antonio?
No, it's realistic. The stats speak for themselves. I think it's 2 years now undefeated. 27 or 28 games. I'm not sure of the exact number. So they're not. It's not a fluke. Obviously, they're a good group. You can see there's a collective about them. Even the guys coming on the pitch, the goals that were scored, everybody's celebrating. They look more like a club than a national side. So I think the more they progress, Italy are a tournament team. They always have been. It's embedded into their DNA, as I say. But to make a prediction, I'm just too superstitious that way. But absolutely, they can go all the way. Yep.
Yeah. How do you guys feel? And we got into it in the match day when certain people say Italy hasn't faced top sides yet, and you can't gauge them. Eric.
So I get what they're saying in terms of, we're playing, a team that's ranked 60th in the world. Meanwhile, Spain and Portugal are having friendlies, so I can understand that. But my thing with that is, yes, we're playing, lesser squads, if you will, but we've done what was expected against those lesser squads.
Yeah, exactly.
You're supposed to put up points, and I believe we the last, I don't know how many games it was, we've outscored our opponents 25-0. So we're still playing like a team that deserves the respect that of being in the top 10 in the FIFA World Ranking. So it's frustrating, but at the same time, it only helps us. It only helps us build our chemistry, our confidence, so that when we do play a top side like Turkey, we beat them 3-0.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think when you're saying that and whatnot, it's like this team. The turnaround is incredible in how we play on the pitch from what we were seeing when we didn't qualify for the last major tourney. You know what I mean? And that alone, you can only take what you see against the opponents that they've faced. And it's miles ahead of where they were, right? In terms of the quality that's on the pitch, in terms of Mancini has shown to have an incredible understanding of how to use the players he has at his disposal. And that's another thing. And then again, you factor in this team, they're actually a unit. It's crazy, that you don't get that feeling that it's a national side that's, put together of teams from other clubs. It feels like a complete unit, an actual squad that plays together throughout seasons when you watch them play, right? The chemistry's it's incredible, and that's what makes them a dangerous team in this tournament. Yeah. So I don't think there's too much hype. Omar, anything to add in this discussion here?
Yeah, Turkey is a top side, and obviously they played France twice, got 4 points out of 2 games, and so it doesn't say much about France, like it doesn't say much about Italy. They're just a good team, no matter who they play against, and we'll see their fragilities as the tournament progresses on, but it was a nice way to start and to give them confidence against a top side, because Turkey, they got a lot of shit for that for this game, but they are not a bad team. They just play differently, and they weren't ready for this type of Italy. They were expecting a completely different thing, and it didn't work out for them. Okay, too bad. Sorry that Demiral got an own goal. But Italy played a good game, and they've been playing the same way for about 2 years. So anyone who expects something different just haven't watched Italy enough. They still remember the old Italian backline, defensive Catenaccio, and I think that you can't complain about this type of game. It was entertaining for every football fan to watch. It was just a good game provided by a newly generational Italian side. So I kind of enjoyed it, and I think it will just get better as the tournament progresses, and we'll prove ourselves against the top side, maybe in the quarterfinals or the semis if we get there.
Absolutely. Now, did we all watch the Wales-Switzerland match?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
I'm sorry. I'm nursing the world's worst hangover, and I've just watched one of the worst games. So I'm at an all-time low today.
Yeah, and your boy Ramsey got you pretty pumped up for this watch, eh? You were expecting what a Hattie from Ramsey, the way he's throwing out comments there. But we've got Swiss up next. That's going to be on Wednesday, I believe. And again, let's get into what we would do in terms of a lineup and whatnot, and what you saw out of the Swiss. how you think the game's going to go. Personally, like just for me, I think we'll get a good rotation. I would rotate against the Swiss. And honestly, they play a pretty standard game. They got their target man. They want to play off him and whatnot. And I think I'm more than confident in any of our CBs, other than Bonucci, when you put him on a one-on-one man scenario. I feel pretty confident in all those other guys swallowing that guy up. And them really being neutralized to just basically go through their other winger there. Why is his name not coming to me? That little built dude.
Shaqiri.
Shaqiri.
Whose calves are like this big.
Yeah.
Scored an absolutely beauty in Euros. I can't remember what year it was.
He scored the hat trick. Yeah, he scored the hat trick in the game.
Yeah, but I'm not worried about the Swiss. I expect a decent rotation that would do it. But in terms of striker, again, we were talking about that earlier. Just because no one's really grabbed the reins, I don't know if I go with Belotti. Maybe just Chiro to keep furthering him, because it seems like he is going to be the lead. But in terms of everything else, I think let's rotate it. What would a typical lineup you would do for that Swiss match, and how you think the game's going to go, Eric?
Well, apparently Florenzi picked up a knock, so Di Lorenzo is likely to start. This is a match that I would probably still use Bonucci and then swap Chiellini with either probably Bastoni. I would like to keep Spina back on, because what I've noticed too about the Switzerland side is that they're balanced, but they're open. So this is probably the lineup that we just had against Turkey would probably have been a perfect lineup for this match, because they're going to be exposed to some of our open field play. So that being said, I probably would use Chiro, even though I said I would rotate him and Belotti, but I would swap them because Belotti should be used more for a hold-up play, allowing people to – and this game to me is probably going to be a lot more open. So I would almost want to use Chiesa and Berardi on the wings with Chiro in the center, because it's going to allow us to really press the ball forward. I think having Locatelli, Jorginho, and Barella again in the midfield, because Switzerland does have a very good midfield. Shaqiri being the attacking midfielder, with Freuler and Granit Xhaka as well. So the center of the pitch is where the battle is going to be won.
There you go. Omar, what do you think about a rotation? Some guys you see in there against Switzerland.
I would keep the same lineup for this game, except for I will keep the second half lineup with Di Lorenzo instead of Florenzi. And Eric says he's injured, so I think maybe Lazzari, but as soon as Di Lorenzo entered the match, then suddenly we started attacking from both sides, and that's when Locatelli picked up, because he didn't only attack from the left side and didn't have to cover for Spinazzola all the time, and that's created a bit of chaos for the Turkey defense. And so we need to attack from both sides, from both flanks, and Di Lorenzo did that better than Florenzi. And so hopefully it'll work out, but Switzerland have two pacey wingers, so it might be tricky. But I still want to see this lineup start this match, because they've provided, what was expected from them. Hopefully they'll provide in the next game. And Wales are probably the most lowest rated team in this group. So I'll go with all the substitutions and all the rotations against them.
Yeah, fair enough. Antonio, against the Swiss.
Much agree with Eric in relation to maybe just managing Chiellini's minutes as best they can. Spinazzola as well, maybe not burn them out too early. But regardless of the personnel that's picked, I think if we play at that tempo, we're going to make lives hard for a lot of teams in this competition. Being over in the UK, there's no media more biased than the English, as I say. So yesterday, it was incredibly refreshing to see how quickly they changed their opinion on Italy. Everybody was blown away over here. They never expected to see that nature of tempo from the Italian side. So I think regardless of the personnel, you're guaranteed the same intensity, the same rhythm. And obviously, as Eric touched on, there's a massive chemistry. So just to pick a few names that I'm interested to see, Castrovilli and Pessina, I'd love to see them get some minutes. I think they're both fantastic footballers. and I think they can, on a stage like this, they can certainly grow.
Yeah. So I think Chiesa for me, I'm with Eric. I'd start him against the Swiss for sure. I'd keep Immobile up top. Berardi making the trident there is very, very interesting to have Berardi, Immobile, and Chiesa up top. At the back there, it's I want to talk. I know he's got a knock and whatnot, but in this match, Anthony coming in and saying he took him 25 minutes to realize Florenzi was on the field against the Turks. And I talked a bit about it at the start of this pod because he was being held back as they formed that 3-man at the back while they moved forward with the ball because Italy pretty much had the ball this entire game. But they kind of locked down with those three, and then Jorginho Locatelli ahead of them to be the shell, and then of course pushing forward with Spina, Insigne, Immobile, Berardi, Barella. But Florenzi, man, it was like when I was saying I was okay with the lineup and everything, I saw so many fans ripping into Florenzi. I want to get your guys' thoughts on him as a player. I've got no issues with Florenzi and whatnot, and there's a lot just saying go with Di Lorenzo all the time out of the gate. Antonio, how do you feel about Florenzi?
I thought I very rarely disagree with Anthony, as I say, but I find myself disagreeing with him on this occasion. I thought in the first 20-25 minutes he was one of the most one of the most present in our teams. I say I can remember in a few instances where he had the ball with Berardi and there was a quick change with the ball. But overall, I think Florenzi's he's a solid player. He gives you consistency about him. Di Lorenzo is he's a different player altogether. He's more physically when he's running. He's a big specimen. You know, he's in progression. He's a much better player than Florenzi. But regardless of where you go, I think you're going to get a solid performance from the both of them.
Yeah. And Omar, your thoughts on Florenzi?
No, he's a good player. He's been good at times for Paris Saint-Germain, but he didn't play as much.
We're laughing at Anthony's comments there. You were drinking, and he did admit he had a hangover this morning and had to watch Wales.
That's true.
No, it's a safe bet. I assume you drink mostly every night. So it doesn't really matter. That's what's interesting about this Italy team. Like, I don't really care who opens. They're pretty much on the same level. Florenzi, Di Lorenzo, Azzurri. Everyone offers different aspects to the game, but it kind of balances itself out. The more problematic area is the left side. Spinazzola is miles ahead of who's going to play after him. I don't know even who's
it's Emerson.
Who's there. Emerson. So Emerson hasn't played that much for Chelsea this season, same as Florenzi. So no, Di Lorenzo proved himself, I think, last night.
And I gotta say, because Azzurri is not with the squad.
He's not with the squad. Okay, so
no. So
never mind.
I'm a big fan of Azzurri, and I wish he would have been. But that's all right. It is what it is. More than enough coverage, I think, at that spot to be fine. No issues with Di Lorenzo either. Eric, your thoughts on Florenzi?
I thought it was a bit reactionary, to be honest with you, because I don't think he had a horrible season when he played for PSG. I thought more or less people were giving shouts for Di Lorenzo because of the club jersey that he wears more or less than anything else. I don't see the drop-off from Florenzi to Di Lorenzo being so great that it merited that type of response. I didn't. But I also thought that in regards to what Anthony was saying, and you touched on it, I thought his lack of pushing the ball forward was more tactical than anything. I thought it had everything to do with he had to kind of be part of a back three. So if he started pressing too far forward, we would lose some of the tactics that we entered with. And then when we came out in the second half, you could visibly see the changes that Mancini made to the squad, which allowed Di Lorenzo to push the ball forward. So I thought it was tactical changes from first half to second half. Didn't have a problem with what Florenzi was doing. Don't have a problem with Florenzi. I've liked him for a long time. I just think he gives you two different characteristics because from a defensive standpoint, I'm going to choose Florenzi over Di Lorenzo. But from an offensive standpoint, I'll choose Di Lorenzo because he can push the ball forward a little bit better.
Yeah. And I think Florenzi fell into the same trap that kind of Locatelli did in terms of just they were doing their job, and I think they're just faulted for it because, sometimes everybody just wants every player to be, attacking and doing this. And it's just like if you, break it down and see what their jobs were and their roles were, I think Florenzi, he did a solid job. I had no issues with Florenzi whatsoever. Di Lorenzo is a pretty good change of pace. Antonio touched on it, different styles. I got no issues with Di Lorenzo either. I did see a comment here in terms of lining up against Switzerland. Mart Zeta threw out Toloi against Switzerland because of physicality and whatnot, basically countering Seferovic and Bolo. But Toloi's just a weird one for me because I think the last time we even saw him, he was playing outside back.
Yeah, twice. Yeah, actually.
And it's just Toloi's a strange one for me. He looked awkward, to be honest, and uncomfortable. So I'm not really sure. Like he's thinking drop Toloi in as CB in that match. Well, I still think like you got Bastoni, you got Acerbi. I think you keep Bonucci out there. You got to reserve minutes for Chiellini. And the way it went with the opening win, and that's arguably the toughest side in this group. If you can reserve Chiellini, hit those knockout rounds, that's ideal. But Toloi's just a weird one for me. I don't even know if I would have really had him out there on the squad. What do you guys think?
No, I think Toloi is like a worst case scenario call up in case everyone gets injured. He usually plays in a 3-man back line, so it looks kind of awkward in a 2-man back line. I'm just happy it's not Rugani out there for the worst case scenario. I'll take Toloi over him.
Why do we always have to talk about Rugani? Even on an Azzurri show, Rugani makes a way onto the pods.
He had some spells with Italy, and they weren't great to say the least.
Yeah. Guys, your thoughts on Toloi, Antonio, Eric? I'm not even so sure I'd have him in the squad, to be honest. But
he's been Italian for like 15 minutes, and then he gets called up. But oddly enough, just like Omer said, he plays center back for Atalanta, and then for some reason, Mancini has deployed him as right back. He has yet to play center back for this squad. So, sure, if you want to put him at center back, that's fine in my opinion because that's the more comfortable position than the right back position. But I wouldn't substitute him for Bonucci as the ball-playing center back. I think you still need to keep Bonucci on there. But then again, you still have two left-footed center backs in Acerbi and Bastoni that I think are ahead of him. But depending on the severity of Florenzi's injury, I can see him being the reserve right back to Di Lorenzo. So I think he's more of a hybrid player, which is why he's there. Yeah.
And Palmieri can play both sides too, and he's out there too. So it's interesting. Antonio Toloi.
My hangover got a lot worse when I heard Regani's name for a minute. So, but actually watching the Switzerland game today, with all due respect to Switzerland, they don't pose much of a threat, but I was impressed by Mbolo's pace and power. So I think there could be an argument for Bastoni, just in case he gets behind the defence. He's got that turn of pace because Bonucci and Chiellini, I don't think, can keep up with him. But so there could be an argument. I've touched on it before, regardless of who comes into the frame, whether it's Toloi, Bastoni, Bonucci, Chiellini, they can all perform. Mancini's he's got this working formula. All the moving parts they're working properly. So regardless of personnel, if one doesn't play, another one will come in and do the job just the same.
Yeah, and I think again, even apart as much as it's fun, making jokes and stuff like that, like Toloi, when you think about how Florenzi was used, even against the Turks, then it starts to maybe make a little sense with Mancini to use him if they're gonna stay at home with three, right, and give one left back the freedom to roam, which then makes Insigne almost an attacking mid in that freedom to be centrally. So it does make sense in that regard, right? Again, looking at the overall, but it's still fun to make jokes and stuff like that. So we got to have some fun. Anthony saying, whatever lineup we use for the Swiss, need 3 points. Don't need to be sweating bullets on match day 3. Absolutely. Of course. Yeah. We started off with a 3-0 victory against the Turks. It's sad that nobody predicted 3-0. I went 2-0.
It's sad that nobody predicted 3-0.
No.
It's a shame.
Yeah. Eric nailed the 3-0. I'm still not impressed. He didn't name the scores. Come on. If you spot that Demirel own goal, then I'd buy you a kit. You said buy you a kit.
Yeah, there was one guy who
apparently
all the
life-changing prediction for somebody on Twitter. So I don't want that type of attention.
Yeah.
No. I'm good with 4 likes. I don't want those.
Let's have a little fun. We'll have a little fun with everyone that's joining live, and we'll do it again on the match day. So we're gonna start having some fun. Obviously, the sponsor, Striped Hearts Apparel. I'm gonna give away one of these. Okay, one of these nice new Azzurri tees to somebody that nails the next scoreline. If you can name the goal scorers too, you got to do that too. So let's start here. Antonio, game against the Swiss. I know predictions. You kind of shout. Let's give your prediction some goal scorers. What do you think is going to happen?
I think it will be a repeat performance. I think it will be 3-0. You want the goal scorers as well?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Don't say Rugani.
No, stop saying that name. See, when you said we're going to have a bit of fun. See, when you said we're going to have a bit of fun, I'm thinking if Al comes up with a drinking game, I'm out. Goal scorers, I can see him. Insigne will go on the goal sheet. I've obviously said Belotti should start, so a Belotti double would be lovely.
There you go, Omer.
Oh, I'll go with 2-0 for Italy, and Immobile to bag another one, and I'll go with one of the fullbacks. No, you know what, Barella. I think Barella will get a goal.
There you go, Eric.
Yeah, it's tough to do this. We don't even know who the projected lineup's going to be.
I know, but that's okay. You just come back on the match day live and throw it. It's like you get an extra shot at.
So the preliminary prediction prior to knowing what the lineup's going to be, I'm going to go 3-1. I think they counter, and just like Antonio said, the pace of their 2 forwards, they're fast. So 3-1. I'm going to say Barella. Chiesa. And then I don't know what substitutes, but I'd like to think Pessina is going to get one.
Oh wow! What a shout there! You nailed that one. I might have to get you a kit. Jesus Christ. Okay, it's got 2-0 from Sammy, Insigne and Barella. Anthony, Chiesa, Immobile ×2 for the 3-0 victory. I'm gonna go 3-0. I'm gonna say Barella. I'm going to say Bonucci on a header. And I'm going to throw Belotti in there. 3-0. 3-0. Those are my guesses. Gentlemen, very, very nice recapping the first group stage match with you. 3-0 victory against Turkey. We've got Switzerland up on Wednesday. We're going to be doing the match day live. And then we're going to, again, do another post-match podcast and break down the next one. And things are looking good so far. Again, trying to avoid what Anthony pointed out is any sweating bullets on match day 3. And I honestly don't anticipate it. This team had the right attitude and approach right out of the gate. Yeah. They took care of business. They mean business. Getting the goals and not stopping. Continuing to press forward, which is in Italy that when you start listening to pundits and stuff that, we're kind of taken aback by seeing it. Mm-hmm. Even us as Azzurri fans, you're not accustomed to it. And this is what's very, very exciting. You're used to an Italia that will get the job done, will cause you a lot of mental and emotional stress with just grinding out victories. Man, Mancini's got these guys ready to go after it. Exciting times. Thank you again, fellas. Thanks, everybody who joined us live. And we'll be back Wednesday for the Azzurri against the Swiss. Ciao tutti.